Thank you.
Cassandra, my name is Biniam.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. How goes your Monday morning?
Goes all right.
You-
Got a extra shift at work. So
Oh, nice. You know,
considering I'm a server, so it's patio service.
yeah.
I got my layers on today, but I'm like, whatever, hourly at least.
You're working too. That's good. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what to anticipate, but it's not quite balmy yet.
No.
You know, I thought this is at least a better measure instead of just shutting you guys down right away. Well, like all together.
Yeah.
But it's a weird dynamic when I see patios full. And when I usually see patios full, I'm thinking, man, it must be bustling inside, but it's a ghost town inside, right? Yeah.
What's been funny is that, like, this weekend there were some people that were calling and they're like, are you guys serving inside? And we're like, no. And then I said to one customer, I was like, do you know where is? Who is serving inside? And they're like, oh, thanks. See you later. I'm like, yeah, tell me who's serving inside. I'm gonna report them, because if I have to freeze my butt out there,
Yeah.
like everybody else has to too.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. People just think that we can do whatever we want, or that we're choosing to do whatever we want, and not just like trying to follow
The guidelines.
the literal law.
Yeah. Do you find that the customers who do choose to dine on the patio are more gracious, like say in tipping and stuff, because it is a bit of an extension of you guys' service?
Like yes and no. I actually was quite shocked on Friday, which was the first day, and I had this gentleman
Yeah.
who had so much attitude and like animosity about the fact that he had to sit outside and drink his beer and eat his food, and I was just like,
Hey.
you know, this isn't my choice either, right?
Wow.
And he was just like, yeah, I'd rather, like, and he would throw out things. I'm like, how's your day going? Like,
Yeah.
pretty crappy. I have to sit out here and eat my beer instead of inside a nice establishment. And I was like, sorry to hear that. Like, yeah, you're right. Why are you here then? Bring your own lunch. Take it to go.
Wow.
We have meal kits.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, how are you gonna give me? I'm minimum paid.
Wow.
I'm a minimum wage paid person.
Yeah, and it's not like
Right?
you.
And like we try to accommodate. We like went and bought like 10 more heaters.
Yeah.
We got a patio extension, like just to try and keep us busy.
Yeah.
You know,
And to
there's
make it easier for them.
Right, exactly. And there's only so much we can do. So I'm like, oh, is this how people are gonna play this?
Wow. That must
I'm
be
like,
really.
I mean, he was just like he was just the one guy. Other people,
Yeah.
they're like they sit there curled up in their jackets
Yeah.
and stuff, and they're like, thank you so much.
Aw.
And like they understand, and
And that's beautiful.
they're
And
yeah.
it's almost like they're
very
doing it
gracious.
to make it work for you guys too, right?
Yeah.
They're like, we want to see you guys keep going, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Exactly. And the support is nice when it's there.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. I was a little bit. I mean, I've worked in the industry for 10 years. So
Yeah.
you're not surprised anymore. And just when you think, like, I was joking with my coworkers, I was like, you know, that there's that veil over the door when any customer, even when I'm a customer in a restaurant, common sense out the door.
Yeah.
You don't get to bring your common sense as a customer with you inside restaurants, I've noticed. And then I was like, you know, you don't think it could get any worse. People ask you stupid questions, people get mad at you for stupid reasons.
Yeah.
And then a pandemic happens.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh.
Let's just amp this up like 100-fold, right? Yeah.
Times 10 with extra like restrictions and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my god, people are the worst.
Oh man.
As a whole,
Yeah.
garbage. Like, all right, why are you here?
And it must be really difficult to sustain the rest of their stay there
Yeah. Like,
with
try.
service and
I always say, like, there is one thing for good customer service, absolutely. Like, that's my job initially, but there's also another thing for being a good customer. And I think that goes a long way too, like, you know?
Yeah.
And I always tell people who are, like, who blow me away, like, obviously I've been in here for 10 years.
Yeah.
For a reason. Like, people, on the worst of days, people are the worst. But then on the best of days, I've met the coolest people from all over the world. You make friends. I've made, like, lifetime friends in the industry. And I'm always, like, sure to tell customers when I'm like, hey, thank you guys so much. It was it was genuinely nice to have you guys as a table.
That's brilliant.
Right?
Okay, so, because I don't eat out very often. And whenever I do get to eat out, it's like a huge deal. So that's inaccessible. What makes an amazing stellar customer? For my part, I'm thinking common sense is, of course, you're a decent person, you're courteous, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Like, honestly, politeness. It's the things that you would already know to have, but for some reason, there's a little bit of entitlement when it comes to being a customer, which, you know, I've had really crappy service where I've, like, been able to, like, take a look around and be like, okay, is this person, like, having a hard time and I'm making it harder on them, or what's going on? And, you know, there's been both of those kinds of scenarios. Honestly, I think it's just how you vibe with them too. Like, sometimes I have tables that aren't into the small talk. They're very shy and just there for, like, their own personal, and I respect their boundaries, and that's totally fine. And there are days where I'm not into the small talk, and I'm just like, how's your day going? They're like giving me their life story, and I'm like, oh crap, that was the wrong question to ask today. Like, just a little on the irritable side or something like that. And then they get it too. And it's just, I think it's just how you vibe with each other on, like, a personal level without, I don't know, making one uncomfortable, I guess.
So I know, like, in my work, like, when I'm making suggestions for other Uber drivers, one of the things I say is, it's helpful to know in the first 30 seconds what kind of ride it's going to be by reading their cues.
Right.
If you came in here, for example, and you weren't open to conversation, there's some cues that you'll be giving that is helpful for me to read. And even as I take those cues in, it's really helpful to also remember that it's not personal.
Exactly.
It's not personal in that, hey, what you need most right now isn't to be, you know, like, in this zone of engaging socially when you're not having that extension for it. And so I totally get that. And the tough part is how to be able, like you're saying, to give each other space when you need it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And, like, other times I think it's just, like, absolute luck of the draw. Some people think that paying me in compliments is what gets me by, and while I do appreciate you notarizing my service and how awesome I was, the 10% says otherwise. Do you know what I mean?
I hear you.
And I'm just like, ugh. And you can tell, like, you can kind of, there's those typical, like, stereotypes, like age and stuff like that. And if they're old British people, they don't even, because in the UK, like, the other countries don't have tipping systems. And I've actually had people ask me, they're like, hey, sorry, I know this is, like, a personal question, but I'm from so-and-so, and we don't tip out there, so what's appropriate for you? And all I say in that moment, I'm like, well, we've had a great time. And they're like, I'm like, well, these are the options that we give you, so you know it is a team effort here, and I do tip out 7%. So anything over 7, like, you tip over 7%, that's what goes into my pocket. And they're like, okay, great, awesome. And then they'll put that in there. And like, that's even when they just ask, and even still that, if they leave me, like, a smaller tip, that doesn't ever bother me.
They acknowledged.
It's acknowledged, and at the end of the day, I didn't have to tip out of my own pocket. It's the no tips where you're like, help. And they're just like, oh, well, why don't they pay you more? And I'm like, oh, great question. Let's go. You want to go ask them together? I would like to stand there with you too. Like, and that one's the fun conversation too, because I get other people that understand that part. And they're just like, oh yeah, no, it's not like out. Like, get a lot of Australian people before they go out to the mountains, and they're like, oh, it's not like that back home. They're like, no, when I'm in the service industry, or even I have a couple of coworkers that have worked abroad and in other countries. And they worked in Australia, at Nicaragua. And, like, tipping, you definitely come for the experience, and you don't have to worry about working for that tip, because you're just having, your employees are paid proper wage to do what they do, and so they're just,
Mhm.
everybody's having a great time.
Question I have for you.
Uh-huh.
So you're one of, I'm just gonna state it as it is, you're one of the attractive specimens. How do you indulge in your work? Because you enjoy working with people, you've done it for a decade now, but also keep from giving guys, especially, the wrong destination that they would like to jump to when
Oh.
they're paid attention because of service. So how do you enjoy your job
Yeah.
but keep those boundaries in check?
Well, my name is Cassandra, but
Okay.
I go by Cass,
Okay.
and I just call myself Sassy Cass. And I'm very abrupt and upfront, so when they do, if they do
Yeah.
start to approach the line, you
Yeah.
can always tell.
Yeah.
It's always the same kinds of guys. In fact, I had like
I'm
an
intrigued.
incident a few weeks ago where
Okay.
these regulars who usually would come in on a lunchtime would drink Cranon sodas, have their salad, and leave.
Okay.
Like, that's the kind of guys they are.
Okay, okay.
They came in on a Thursday night right before last call. Now, mind you, last call nowadays is 9:45, so
Yes.
it's not like it's crazy late on
Yeah.
a Thursday night or anything,
Yeah.
but still,
Yeah.
they came in wasted.
Yeah.
They all felt entitled because they come in all the time, and I have served them before.
Mhm.
The one guy asked for my phone number. I shut them out immediately. I was like, nope, not tonight. And then I was like, what are you having to drink? You guys get one beer
Mhm.
and like water and food if you guys are ordering it, because we're doing last call right now. And they're all like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, they don't like when I don't play fun with them, but those would be the situations where if you tip me zero for that, I don't care because I walked away with my dignity.
Mhm.
Like, and
Because you walked with your what?
with my dignity.
Ah, I like that. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And these guys, at one point, I looked over, I was taking a payment at another table, and they were telling me how sorry they felt for me having to deal with them.